Hi, my name is Mike Stacy. I am the Chief Human Resources Officer for Lexington School District 1. This is the required employee handbook orientation for every employee to our Lexington School District 1. The orientation session has been divided into 3 segments. Part 1, Organization and Employment. Part 2, Employee Conduct and Welfare. And Part 3, Benefits, Compensation, Leave, and Absences. Every employee is required to review each segment as a part of his or her annual onboarding process. As we enter the second year of strategic plan implementation, we continue to work towards the vision of empowering each child to design the future. While our handbook reviews pertinent board policies related to personnel, it is important to know where to find the most up-to-date version of all our policies. They would be located on our website, www.lexington1.net. Go to About, then School Board, then Board Policies. After reviewing all 3 segments of this presentation, you will be asked to sign a verification that you have done so. The handbook is specific to G policies as those policies relate to personnel. Within the G policies are GB policies that relate to all personnel, GC policies that are specific to certified professional staff, and GD policies that are specific to support staff. Next, we will review employment procedures. Lexington School District 1 does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, genetic information, or age. To be employed, everyone is subject to a background check, SLED and/or Azura. Azura is used for potential employees that have not resided in South Carolina for the last 10 years and also for support staff. In addition, both the National Sex Offender Registry and the DSS Abuse Registry are reviewed. Finally, we do a confirmation of work authorization, an I-9. A background check and the National Sex Offender Registry is checked on all employees, full, part-time, temporary, or interim. Volunteers are also checked. This includes coaches, mentors, and chaperones. Anyone who has direct interaction and contact with a student is subject to this review. Individuals on the registry will not be permitted to serve in the district in any capacity. All officers and parent organizations, volunteers handling money, and individuals paid as vendors are subject to the same background checks. Examples of vendors might be choreographers and accompanists with our fine arts programs. We often get inquiries about transfer possibilities and assignments. Within the building or department, placement of an individual is at the discretion of the principal or supervisor. The superintendent may make personnel assignments within the district either on a voluntary or involuntary basis. Professional staff may request a transfer after they've been in their position for 3 years. In assigning staff to schools and departments, we must adhere to our nepotism policy. Our policy clearly defines the relationships considered, and we make every effort to ensure 2 members of the same family are not assigned to the same school or school campus or in a position so that one is reporting to the other. The only exceptions to this policy must be approved by action of the board. All public school employees are under the jurisdiction of the Ethical Conduct of Public Officials and Employees Law. Policy GCL establishes the basic structure for time schedules for professional staff. Certified staff are expected, at a minimum, to be present 15 minutes before students arrive and leave no sooner than 15 minutes after students depart. Outside of this time, teachers can be assigned morning and afternoon duties as specified by their principal to include any professional meetings called by the principal. There is a difference between a daily schedule and time worked. Employees must be compensated for all time worked. Policy GDBC-R states, hours worked means all hours during which the individual is required to be on duty, generally from the required starting time to normal stopping time. Meal periods do not count as hours worked. unless the individual is required to perform work duties during the meal period. For example, if an employee works 7.5 hours and reports to work at 7:30, that employee's end time would be 3:30 if and only she has or he has an unencumbered lunch. If that lunch is encumbered, for example, you have to eat lunch with the students, the employee would end the workday at 3 o'clock. The board also expects teachers and certified personnel to attend other functions or events as requested by their principal, such as PTO meetings or open house events. Part 2, Employee Conduct and Welfare. During the 2017-18 school year, a committee was formed to establish an employee code of excellence in order to sustain a safe and supportive school environment for all of our stakeholders. The result was 11 standards that each employee would be expected to adhere to. These include things like demonstrating respect and integrity when interacting with students, parents, and staff, reporting to work in a timely manner, identifying and reporting unsafe conditions, communicating any matters of interest or concern to the district in a timely manner, maintaining confidentiality, reporting actions that represent violations of laws, refraining from any activity that would interfere with one's ability to do their job, etc. The Code of Excellence can be found in the Employee Handbook online. Policy GBEAA relates to ID badges. All employees are issued them and are expected to wear them. Policy GBEB relates to an employee's dress, conduct, and interpersonal relationships. Everyone should recognize that they are a public employee and as such are under constant scrutiny from the public. In the day of cell phones, one must constantly be aware that they could be videoed at any moment. The personal life of a district employee will be of concern and warrant attention of the administration if it impairs the employee's ability to be effective. Generally, we look at the level of disruption any particular action may cause. So what might be okay on a Saturday night away from school for an age-appropriate consenting adult? Posting it on a social media site for the public to see may create a disruption when one returns to work. That disruption might warrant the attention of the administration if it impedes the employee from doing their job. No employee will engage in immoral or criminal conduct, nor should any employee induce students to commit an act of criminal or immoral conduct. All employees should maintain a professional relationship with students at all times, both inside and outside of school. This includes in person, in writing, or electronically through a telephone, cell phone, or social media. Employees, while on duty and in the presence of students, should not use profanity, tobacco in any form, or be under the influence of intoxicating beverages. Violations will result in being placed on administrative leave with pay, pending an investigation and possible recommendation for termination. The board delegates specific authority to the superintendent to take appropriate employment action with regard to an employee who has been arrested. Should a district employee be arrested, he or she must notify his or her supervisor immediately. We realize employees may be reluctant to notify their supervisors for fear of termination. However, if they do not, by policy, they will be terminated. Simply getting arrested does not lead to automatic termination. It goes to the level of disruption it may cause. By notifying us, we may be able to get in front of it and reduce the level of disruption. Policy GBEC states that we are a drug and alcohol nicotine-free workplace. It is not a matter of just not using drugs, but no employee will manufacture, distribute, dispense, possess, be under the influence of, or use any illicit drug or alcohol or any look-alike drug in the workplace. If an administrator has reasonable suspicion that an employee is under the influence, By policy, that employee must submit to a drug or alcohol test. Failure to comply would result in immediate dismissal. Policy GBECE is a notice to employees and reiterates the fact that we are drug, alcohol, and nicotine free. It further states that a drug or alcohol arrest or conviction should be reported to your supervisor within 3 days. The board admits that tobacco and nicotine use and exposure to secondhand smoke are hazardous to the health of human beings, especially children. Therefore, the board believes it is essential to maintain a 100% tobacco and nicotine-free environment. For purposes of this policy, tobacco product means a product that contains tobacco intended for human consumption, including but not limited to cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, and snuff. Alternative nicotine product means any vaping product, whether or not it contains nicotine. For more information, refer to policy GBED. Access to technology is a privilege, not a right. The district will not tolerate the inappropriate use of technology by any person. Every employee annually signs a technology use agreement. Historically, technology has been a leading cause in the discipline of employees. Be smart. Think before you post. Know that when you send an email, you must know your audience. Reply all is not your friend. Think about when you're online and what you're searching. Recognizing that Cyber Monday is most likely a school day, you might want to wait until after your hours of employment to search for that great deal. Use good judgment. Think before you click. Policy GBAA reminds us of the board's expectation of personal conduct. To this end, we prohibit sexual harassment, sexual discrimination, and unprofessional conduct of a sexual nature of any form. This includes in person, in writing, or electronically. An email that seems funny to you might not be funny to the others around you. Sexual harassment of employees consists of unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. Examples of sexual harassment may include comments or slurs, physical movement into someone's space, visual harassment such as offensive cartoons, drawings, text, or emails. An employee who feels he or she has been subjected to sexual harassment is encouraged to file a complaint. Each worksite has a male and female representative for hearing those complaints. Your supervisor will be able to tell you who your site level person would be. At the district level, that would be me, Mike Stacy, or Devonna Price, Director of Human Resources. An employee who is found to have engaged in sexual harassment or inappropriate conduct of a sexual nature with another employee will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination from employment. Any behavior by an employee toward a student that would cause the student to feel uncomfortable or that would give the appearance of impropriety or unprofessional conduct, regardless of whether the behavior is overtly sexual and regardless of whether such behavior would constitute a crime. Inappropriate conduct of a sexual nature of students includes inappropriate sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. For example, leering, asking a student out on a date, touching or pinching, making comments, gestures, and/or jokes of a sexual nature, manipulating clothing, spreading sexual rumors of something about sexual behavior, teasing and/or bullying in sexual terms. An employee that believes he or she has seen inappropriate conduct of a sexual nature toward an employee or a student, whether that inappropriate conduct was an employee, student, vendor, volunteer, etc., must promptly report the situation to his or her immediate supervisor or principal. In addition, school employees name mandated reporters. So if you have received information that gives you a reason to believe that a child has become abused or neglected, you must report that to either a law enforcement agency or the Lexington County Department of Social Services. If a report is made, the employee should also inform his or her supervisor. South Carolina law has been redefined in regards to sexual misconduct with a student. If the student is 16 or 17 years of age and you are convicted of sexual misconduct, you are guilty of a felony. If a student is 18 years of age or older and you have direct supervisory authority over the student and you are convicted of sexual misconduct, you are guilty of a felony. If a student is 18 years of age or older and you don't have direct supervisory authority over a student and you are convicted of sexual misconduct, you are guilty of a misdemeanor. The board recognizes the need to have some means for handling disputes in the workplace. Policy GBK provides the structure for filing a grievance as one of those means. A grievance is a claim by an employee that a board policy, administrative rule, or practice has been violated or misapplied. Employee grievance forms, HR 46 or 47, should be submitted when filing a grievance. Other disputes should be addressed at your work site prior to contacting Human Resources. Your contacts in HR are me, Mike Stacy, or Devonna Price. Part 3, Benefits, Compensation, Leave, and Absences. For certification concerns and certificate renewal, contact Sharita Dozier at 821-1041. She can assist you with renewal credit, experience credit, national board supplements, and alternative certification. Please understand that experience in South Carolina is equated to the minimum of 152 days in a year. Annually, all employees will receive an employee status sheet. It is critical that you verify this information before signing this sheet and returning it to your supervisor. If your name or address changes, you must submit an HR 21 to the Office of Human Resources. Benefits and compensation. Employee Online is a web-based system that allows employees to easily access their employment records, pay stubs, etc. You simply visit lexington1.net, IM, Employee, Secure Employee Portal for this information. Your best friend is your benefits administrator. This person can help you navigate health insurance, retirement, and many other services. Currently, the benefits administrators are Corinne Pangle. She serves last names beginning with A through H. Lauren Height, last names beginning I through L. And Catherine Rawl, last names M through Z. Now, for what you really want to know, when do I get paid? Checks are issued on the 10th and the 25th, or the closest workday to those dates of each month for all full-time and regular part-time employees. Support staff members are paid on an hourly basis and are non-exempt employees. As a result, if they work more than 40 hours a week, they are entitled to overtime. All overtime hours worked by support staff members must have prior approval by the employee's supervisor. This is why it is imperative that all support staff members accurately record their actual work time. Failure to request prior approval for overtime may result in disciplinary action. Leave and absences. At this point, we're going to talk about something that's very important. The board expects all employees to come to work for every day of their working schedule. However, we recognize that certain absences are unavoidable. In those cases, the employee should take leave in accordance with policy GCC and GDD. Leave is accrued at the rate of 1 1/3 days for every month that the employee works and is reported in hours. As such, an 8-hour employee would earn 10.67 hours per month. The number of months that an employee works equates to a number of days of leave earned per year. For example, most of our employees are 9-month employees and will earn 12 days per year. 12-month employees would earn up to 16 days per year. While we recognize that employees must be absent, we encourage our employees to work every day. So the board has put in place some incentives to encourage employees to come to work. For example, when you come on board, you tell us whether you want to accrue 90 or 135 days. I'm encouraging all employees to accrue 135 days. If you want to change your number of days that you accrue, you may do so during open enrollment in October. Why would I want to save my days, you ask? Well, first and foremost, in the event of a catastrophic event, you will have the protection of your leave. We have a policy that says that if you are out for 91 consecutive days and you've exhausted all of your annual leave, we will separate employment. If you experience a catastrophic event, as long as you have leave, that policy won't be in place. Additionally, the Affordable Health Care Act requires us to look back at the hours you worked each year in November in order to determine eligibility for insurance. If an employee does not meet that minimum threshold due to a catastrophic event, then in November, even if you've returned to work, you will lose your eligibility for insurance for a 12-month period starting in January. If you have leave and you're unable to work, the days you're out do not count against you in this annual look back for insurance eligibility. There are some other incentives as well. When you voluntarily leave Lexington School District 1, we will pay you out at a rate of 2/3 of your daily rate of pay for your accrued leave. That means, for example, if you are a classroom teacher who works a 190-day calendar and you accrue 135 days, when you voluntarily leave the district, we will pay you out 2/3 of your daily rate of pay for those days, which equates to your full salary for 90 days. The second incentive for saving your days is that when you accrue the 135 days, you will continue to earn annual leave days each year. If you do not use those days, in July you will receive a check for the unused days at the rate at which we would pay a substitute for your position. For example, on the current schedule, a certified teacher would receive a check for $80 per unused day above the 135 maximum. So a teacher who has 12 unused days above the 90 or 135 would receive an additional check in July for $980. Some employees may be closer to retirement than others, but everyone needs to know that your 135-day payout has added retirement benefits or a higher monthly retirement. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to save those days. It will benefit you greatly in the long term. Finally, our district also offers an annual leave bank. When you started with Lexington School District 1, you were asked if you wanted to contribute to that bank. If you contributed one leave day in the beginning, it made you a part of the bank. If you did not contribute and you would like to do so now, you may contribute during the open enrollment period. If you are a contributing member and you had a catastrophic illness and you were out for more than 20 consecutive days and you have exhausted all other paid leave, you can apply to the bank for up to 10 additional days. If for any reason you should have to be out for more than 10 consecutive days, you must contact Sydney Ziegler at 821-1105. She will meet with you to determine whether you are eligible for long-term leave or family medical leave. You must complete paperwork, and in order to return, you must submit a doctor's release. You will receive information as it relates to your position in the following areas: religion and public education, confidentiality, bullying, blood-borne pathogens, technology use reminder. Acknowledgement of participation is documented. Concludes our annual handbook review. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen. Hope this was informative and will help you throughout the year. Want to wish everybody a great 2019-20 school year. Hope everybody had a restful summer. And just know that Human Resources is here to help serve you and support you throughout the year. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call us in Human Resources.